All right, so let's talk Giants. We're going to start with free agency. We'll move into the draft. Surprise, surprise, the Giants are not in the mix for QB Tom Brady. I mean, it should be fucking illegal, punishable by death for anyone to report something as silly as that was. That was just the odds of that coming together. The probability is 0.01%, if that. And people were reporting it as if it's an actual possibility, and it hurts me that people can get that bored, that to be willing to make up shit like that. There's got to be something like demerit system or something. I don't know. Like that, did whoever reported that, was that actually legitimate? Like, it's total speculation and rumor. He's going back to the friggin' Patriots, that's for sure. I know I was listening to Barstool Radio and they had Tom Curran or something like that from, I don't know where, but Boston media guy who said that he initially threw something out there as kind of half joking, and then he got some traction from people who are like, no, you should run with that. And so now it's like being taken seriously. It's like, what? Is this how it works? So apparently the 49ers are interested in Brady, and that they would be willing to trade Jimmy Garoppolo back to the Patriots for Brady. It's like, okay, that seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, admittedly, Garoppolo wasn't great in the Super Bowl, but he got them there, and he's only 28. Brady's 42, something like that. I don't know. Seems like you're getting like Los Angeles Rams Joe Namath, or like New York Jets Brett Favre. I don't know. You're not getting Tom Brady at his best, I don't think. But whatever. So there were reports that the Giants and Leonard Williams were close to someone report. I don't know, like this. I'd love to be the person that just makes up reports and have it blow up and go viral. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? And then people call you out, and you realize that you duped so many fucking people, because so many people are starving for good information and good news. But apparently there was a report going around that the Giants were waiting to free agency to sign Leonard Williams, because then they wouldn't have to give up a fourth. They would just give up the fifth. And then there was another report that was like, no, actually the Giants and Leonard Williams are not even close on a new contract. Great. And apparently it looks like the Giants could use the franchise tag, which would come at a projected cost of $16 million, or the transition tag, which would cost around $13 million. So I don't know, mate. I'm not really pumped about either of those situations, but I guess I need to do some investigating on my own and find out what the fuck transition tag means, if we're being real. I don't even know what that means, but I guess I would rather have him for a full season on a prove it deal with a tag than I would be willing to hand him the whatever money he's looking for. It's like, I guess, Aaron Donald money, which is like what $20 million a year or something like that over 4 or 5 years. It would be nice to have him for a full year when he's like fully, embedded with the system and knows the system, and has been with the team through training camp and has gelled a little bit more and has that chemistry, as opposed to just, less than half a season. That would be nice. So I don't mind them tagging him. I'd rather tag him than hand him like this ridiculous contract than every year being like, oh, not living up to the contract. The other report was that we're interested in Kyle Van Noy, which I've said, has been a top target since the end of the season. And then there's been additional reports saying the Giants will, quote unquote, aggressively pursue Kyle Van Noy once free agency begins, and feel confident they can land him. It's like, okay, just let's not break the bank on this guy, I think he's like 30 some odd years old. He's probably on the twilight of his career. He's on the decline. So like, let's not like go nuts. Trying to bring him in. But like I said, I'd rather bring in like 3 above average good free agents as opposed to 1 blockbuster free agent. And I think Kyle Van Noy falls under the good to above average free agent that won't break the bank, hopefully. One free agent that might break the bank is Byron Jones, who I didn't realize that he was going to be like the belle of the ball and that everyone would be whining and dining him. But looks like there's been reports that the Eagles and Giants are going to get in a bidding war over Byron Jones, which means that's just going to drive his cost up, which means, in my mind, probably not worth it. But maybe Jason Garrett can speak to that more and be like, no, actually, you do want to spend that money on him because he is worth it. And if he really is a lockdown corner, that's one less section of the field you have to worry about providing support on. So personally, I've been kind of against it because I have that, we got burned a little bit by Janoris Jenkins. So it's like, I'd rather just kind of go for someone like a Logan Ryan who comes at a less expensive price that could probably give you 75 to 80% of what Byron Jones would give you. I don't know. You guys want to hear rumors? Here's a rumor. Giants are expected to pursue Jadeveon Clowney aggressively. I mean, I don't know. We're supposed to have around $80 million in open space to spend on free agency, but Clowney is asking for upwards of $22 million per season. And forget who. This might be a tweet from Vincent Reposardi, I think. But instead, we should do Kyle Van Noy, Marcus Golden, and Byron Jones. So Jones would probably be in the. I'm interested to see what Golden would get. Van Noy, I think, is in the 6 range, 6 to 9 million. Byron Jones would be north of 16, I think. So that's already 25 right there. Yeah. I'm pretty much against going all in on one player because they're not one player away on defense. That's for damn sure. Giant Insider tweeted, when I look at a guy, I'm not just looking at sacks. Yeah, sacks are great, but what else is the dude doing? Prime example, Matt Judon had 9.5 sacks, but guess what? He also had 33 QB hits and 14 tackles for loss. So he's making an impact, and that's what I'm looking for. And I agree. And then, I know the knock on Leonard Williams is that he doesn't get sacks, and then he gets QB pressures. But is he getting hits? Is he getting tackles for loss? It's a bunch of things, who was it? There was was it Robert Mathis or something? He ended up going to like the Cardinals and he had like something like crazy number of sacks. I want to say like 13 sacks or 15 sacks, but that's it. The guy would come in on 3rd down and get a sack, and that was it. He wasn't getting tackles for loss, hits, pressures, or he's not impacting the game in other ways. So I know sacks are the big sexy statistic, but it's like there has to be a little something else there. And I think that was that's pretty much what the criticism on Marcus Golden is. It's like, okay, you had 10.5 sacks, but it's like, were the tackles for loss? Were you getting blown up in the running game, etc.? According to Mike Garofalo of the NFL Network, the Giants have a passing interest in a Green Bay Packers free agent linebacker Blake Martinez, who is an excellent run defender and solid pass rusher, but stinks in coverage. And according to Spot Track, Martinez has an estimated market value of $16.3 million a year, which is, oh boy, dude, seems a little high. Seems a little steep. You can't have it all, but I would love an excellent. I thought they should have drafted Blake Martinez in 2016. I had him as one of the top draft prospects to look at because we were even worse at linebacker than we are now. I don't know how, but we were. And of course, Reese was just so averse to drafting linebackers, and when he did, he always missed on them. So it's been kind of painful watching Blake Martinez do well for the Packers. He's had 144 more combined tackles in each of his last 3 seasons, which is pretty damn impressive. And he's posted a career high 155 combined tackles last season. He only missed 12 tackles in 18, and he missed only 18 tackles in 2019. Both are, 10% or lower of tackle attempts, which is, that's been another bugaboo for the Giants, is like inability to fucking wrap up and bring a guy down. So that price tag, though, it's fucking awful. We do get Connolly back, so hopefully he hasn't been affected that much by the ACL. We should re-sign David Mayo, hopefully on a cheap, bring him back contract to provide depth. Ogletree obviously is gone, so linebacker is definitely a position that we need to address, which we should address in the draft. And we can address in the draft, which I'll get to in a little bit. So this is not breaking news, but Rhett Ellison retired. The Giants are going to save $5 million against the cap with that decision. So what does that mean for the tight end position? So you have Caden Smith. Scott Simonson was released. Which, yeah, dude. You got best abilities availability. And he was kind of banged up a lot throughout his, I think it was 2 or 3 seasons he was with the team. So that leaves us with Caden Smith, the undrafted free agent who held his own, came up with some big catches, was able to block. And then Evan Engram, who, in my opinion, is not a tight end. He's a third wide receiver. Big Blue United suggested that Austin Hooper be a target. He's 25 years old, 2-time Pro Bowler, in only 4 years of service, missed a total of 5 games. And they believe he's on the brink of becoming an all-pro tight end. I'm sold-ish. I think having Hooper and Caden Smith and Evan Engram, that's a pretty good trio right there. I wouldn't mind going to war with those 3, especially when it's like Engram doesn't necessarily need to be in the game on many rundowns. He should be primarily a red zone menace. And he, in 3 wide sets, he's in the slot. Like, that's how I envision Evan Engram working, and I guess that's telegraphing the play when he's in, it's not a run, but at the same time, it's like, you can't have him getting hurt all the time. So, Matthew Berry reported that an inside source says the Giants don't believe Evan Engram can ever stay healthy. You think? And the source believes Engram is a candidate to be traded during the upcoming season. So this is where things get interesting. I mentioned Vince Rapasardi before. Here he is again. In 2018, Evan Engram led the entire league in average separation yards, was 3rd in YAC per reception. He believes the potential is there, but the Giants won't be getting full trade value because his health has hurt his consistency and not worth trading based on current value. Yeah, but you wouldn't be trading based on current value. You'd be trading based on potential and also historical performance when he is healthy. I think that's the point. Which leads me to the draft. So I'm getting very excited about the draft. I hope you are too, if you're a Giants fan, because there's a lot of upside here. There's a lot of potential, and this is going to be a very pivotal draft for Gettleman because I think, it's a make or break draft for him, and I think he is set up for success. I think unless he completely bones this draft, we should come out of it with some playmakers that can make immediate impacts that can help out the ball club immediately year 1. So Twitter user @JParacelli tweeted, "Yo, would people be pissed if we got Isaiah Simmons, the Clemson linebacker, with our first pick and used Engram to trade up for Tristan Wirfs, the Iowa tackle?" No, would not be pissed one bit, because the way I see it, I mean, Engram is a weapon. I'm not denying it. I put out a friggin' blog post about how he would be. It was definitely premature. It was before, when he was drafted, before the 2017 season kicked off. I said he is set up to be one of the greatest Giants tight ends of all time, if he can stay healthy, and he couldn't. So, not knowing that, that he probably is better off as a wideout, but no, not pissed off at all. 2 players for the price of 1, and you're getting an instant starter on defense who potential to be a Pro Bowler or All Pro, maybe not in his first season, but in the first 4 seasons at the linebacker position, which has been so tough for us to crack in the past 15 to 20 years. You get a playmaker on defense, and then you also get a potential starter on your offensive line at right tackle, possibly move him to left, and then move Solder to right. I'm not going to hate on that. I mean, listen, I know I was very high on Evan Engram last year. I've owned up to the fact that it was probably I probably got caught up in a lot of things, because he is such an excitable player that's contagious, his energy. And I think he is a positive influence on the team. But, dude, it's tough when you cannot stay on the field. And, he is a big trade chip. The team has to make, like I said last episode, the team has to make a decision on him before May, I think, about extending him for 2021. I think it's a club option. So, as much as I love the guy, and I know that, he is unlike any other tight end I've seen in my 30 plus years of watching football, it's probably because he's not really a tight end. So, you just have to find a team that is probably hard up for either a pass catching tight end or for like a big target. So, I mean, I would not be devastated if we traded Engram. And I mean, because we don't have a whole lot of whole lot of pieces to trade. But I think, given Caden Smith's development, given the fact that we could pursue Austin Hooper, could draft another tight end later on in the 4th, 5th round that might, be underrated, under the radar. I mean, shit, Gronkowski. I think Gronkowski and Hernandez went in like the 3rd and 4th round, or 4th and 5th round. So, there's talent. I don't know how deep the tight end pool is, so that's something that I probably should have looked into. But I just think, given how depleted we are on the offensive line, at the linebacker position, if we can give up a piece like Engram where it's not going to be debilitating. I mean, we've played so much without him anyway, that I'm for it. And then I'll finish up by talking about this PFF analytics draft, which I don't know. I guess it's just I don't know. I didn't look into why it's called an analytics draft as opposed to just a normal mock draft, but I guess it's based on they determine by numbers what your position of need is. And I guess for Pro Football Focus, our position of need at number 4 in the first goddamn round of the NFL draft is wide receiver, which is mind blowing. PFF says that we should consider, and it's not the receiver that you think. Here's the quote from them. The worst thing that can happen to the Giants is ending up in a position where they don't quite know about Daniel Jones because he has yet to throw to a legit set of receivers. Sick burn, bro. As important as throwing the football is, getting open and catching the football is the second most valuable component of the passing game. And Alabama wide receiver Henry Ruggs possesses the athleticism that every offense dreams of. And he gets open at all levels of the field. While many have his teammate Jerry Jeudy as the top wide receiver, our projections slightly favor Ruggs. Ruggs lined up primarily out wide, where he was dominant at all levels of the field, while Jeudy saw a majority of the snaps line up in the slot. So, I don't agree with a whole lot. I don't agree with drafting a receiver at 4. But I do like their thinking because we're pretty much set up in the slot position. We got too much slot going on, Sterling Shepard, slot guy. Golden Tate, slot guy. We don't really have an outside receiver who can dominate. So in that respect, yeah, I could see us like taking a receiver who can fill that need. I just don't see it happening at number 4, especially when I've listened to the Surf and Turf podcast from Barstool is now rebranded to Going Deep, and they had a bunch of interviews with NFL scouts at the scouting combine, or with NFL personnel at the scouting combine, and they said this is like one of the deepest drafts when it comes to wide receivers. So, in my mind, I'm willing to go without a receiver in the first and second rounds because I know that there's plenty of talent to be had on day 2, day 3. So interesting developments, and the free agency madness is about to kick off. I think it's going to go down and start next week. So I'll be very interested to see what happens there. And I just want to finish up by saying this. I haven't talked a lot about the Devils. Devils are my favorite hockey team. I'm not a diehard hockey fan. I can't even watch the fucking Devils because they're on MSG and I don't get MSG through YouTube TV, blah, 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 blah. They got off to a horrific start. I had them making the playoffs and making waves in the playoffs, and they fell way short of those expectations right off the bat. And eventually, traded Taylor Hall. They traded, I guess, Wayne Simmons now. And they were getting lit up. It looked like fucking lacrosse scores every time I checked the box score. It was like every time, it was like, wow, 6-2, 7-3. Interesting. Well, they've turned it around. And ever since John Hines was fired, I think it was like early December, they brought on Alain Nasruddin. I just, I don't know anymore. So ever since they brought him in, and this is a stat from last week, so it might be different now, but in the 40 or so games that he's taken over as interim head coach on December 3rd, they're 17-14-8. Winning record. I looked recently, I think they have like 68 points. They have an absurd amount of overtime losses. I want to say like 12, 14 or more. But they rank number 19 in the league during his time behind the bench, are 15th in goals against, 23rd in goals per, first in penalty kills, 16th on power play. So the power play stinks, obviously. The penalty kill is awesome. And Mackenzie Blackwood is just playing out of his mind, which is great to see because he had such a rough start. And they really needed someone to step up. So keep your eye on the Devils. I mean, you look at the Blues last year, they were like what? They were like among the bottom tier I think in January. And then they turned it on in the second half and were able to win the cup. So, I mean, I doubt the Devils have that in them. Like the Rangers are actually one of the hottest teams in the league. And the Devils just beat them. So I don't know. Keep an eye on the Devils. Might make a late surge. Time's ticking though. So that's the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And hit me up on the socials, even though I ain't got time for that shit. I'm a grown ass man. And we'll talk to you next week. Adios, muchachos.